Hello, I'm here to talk about Minions 2. It's only the second one, right? First things first, before we dive into this and the discussion around yet another Minions movie. Sorry for the dead air. Lately, it's been kind of a challenging time. Got a lot of stuff to deal with, and I'm also working on a longer video that's going to take quite a while to finish. I might even do an editing stream for that sometime soon. But for the moment, I just wanted to put out a real quick video about the trailer. This is not a reaction to the trailer. I mean, I've watched it. Nothing about this feels unexpected to me. It does seem a little bit late. So we had Minions 2015, prequel to the Despicable Me movies. They had already had two or three movies by that point. Obviously, the Minions themselves have become basically, there's a logo, there's a giant minion over one of the freeways out here in LA. I already have some generally negative feelings about Illumination Entertainment just in general. I think a lot of people do who follow the animation industry. Yeah, like I said, I'm not surprised to see this, and more than anything else, I just want to ask, how do we feel about this? With something like this, there's been plenty of Illumination stuff that I could see potentially appealing to a much wider audience, just based on its core subject matter or the characters. Even the Sing movies, I would not fault anyone for just watching that out of a desire to see some kind of feel-good movie, but the quality isn't quite there. These movies do look professional, but of course it's Illumination at this point is synonymous with the idea of spending as little money as possible to still create something that looks professional and that will likely perform in especially the international market, which is the main thing really to talk about with this upcoming movie. In the description of the official upload, it's interesting. They say, this summer from the biggest global animated franchise in history. First of all, it's marketing copy, so it's already confusing. But does that refer specifically to, it can't be just the Minions franchise, because that's, just one movie and maybe another one when I blinked and I just completely missed it. But I think they're referring to just the Despicable Me franchise overall. I went ahead and looked up the box office numbers for the original Minions movie from back in 2015, and we have some pretty hard numbers all around. Estimated budget, $74 million. Those numbers are never 100% accurate, but it's a good ballpark figure. Domestic take of $336 million. Nothing terrible there. That's respectable. It's kind of expected for an Illumination movie specifically. But the international take was $823 million. China? Okay, in China it was only $68 million. So this is the big question. Okay, so for one thing, the Minions themselves, just as characters, as entities, it kind of makes sense that they would translate to larger international audiences, because for one thing, they rely on dialogue very little. The stories that they're slapped into are pretty standard, like hero-villain stuff, save the world kind of thing, or just beat the bad guy. But their humor is very much just visual, very slapstick. The team knew this. The team especially knew this when marketing that first Minions movie. And we all remember, I think we all share the wartime trauma that was the marketing campaign for that Minions movie, which was just, it goes beyond. You know what I mean? It goes way beyond. There are those heavily commercialized movies that license thousands of products. Star Wars has incredibly heavy promotion. The Force Awakens in particular was just insane. But Minions was a completely different level, and I would even say that it wanders into the territory of just being such aggressive and ubiquitous marketing that there should maybe be some legal restrictions on it. You could not get away from it at all. I mean, at least here in the US. And based on the international take of that movie, I have to assume they were going just as hard, if not harder, in other countries around the world. I was just reflecting on that. Those old days of all the marketing for the Minions and the memes that came out of it, and the irony, slingshot, where people were like, oh no, it's actually kind of funny now, and now we hate it again, and now it's ironic again. And I was thinking, okay, typically, the marketing budget for a big blockbuster movie is equal to the production budget. So when you want to find out how much money a studio spent to make and market a movie, you take the budget, X2, there you go. In other cases, sometimes the marketing budget is larger, and I was just trying to guesstimate, how much did they spend on marketing for that Minions movie back in 2015. I was thinking, you know what, maybe like 200 million, that's sort of a mod, is much more than the movie itself at 74 million. Then I was like, well, if I'm being crazy, maybe 300 million. Maybe that would explain why it was just absolutely everywhere. But no, according to one of the articles I found here, I think it's from Christian Science Monitor, so take it with a grain of salt, 600 million. $600 million. That is over 6 times the production budget for the movie itself, just to market the darn thing and just to slap a minion onto absolutely anything imaginable. If that doesn't thoroughly communicate what Illumination is all about, then I don't know what else will. I could not give a better summary of Illumination's quote-unquote creative vision than just comparing those two numbers. When we look to this trailer, there's some pretty obvious things going on here. And more than everything else, there's one thing you probably noticed about this trailer that is completely in line with plenty of animated movies, especially animated kids movies we've seen releasing over the last year or two. And that is what seems to be the main setting for the movie. I mean, just based on the amount of footage we see in this one setting. I think it's not until a minute in that we get our scenery shift, and we wind up with this character. She knows martial arts, and she's going to teach the minions how to do martial arts. And I guess this is a core to the story. And then when we see them fighting some monsters, what are these monsters? Well, they seem to be the 12 Chinese zodiac signs. We seem to be in China for a bulk of the movie, certainly what looks to be the climax of the movie, the big movie ending fight. They're going for the international market, to put it lightly, but the strange thing is, at least according to the Box Office Mojo website, it only grossed $68 million in China. It grossed more in the US, and usually China is the number one international market that movie studios will try to go for, because it's massive. If you hit it big in China, you're making tons of money. Is this an attempt to make it even big just specifically in the Chinese market? Or do they just figure, oh, why not take a shot? We'll just, have some Chinese cultural elements present in the movie, and maybe that'll help, because otherwise it might be too specific. They're being very clear with their intentions for the movie. Obviously, they still want it to perform well here in the US. I guess it will? This is the big question, because, okay, as I said earlier, I can see certain Illumination movies working for audiences, larger audiences, different age groups, etc. I do not see Minions specifically working for any other age group than 5 to 10-year-olds. Did they just figure, okay, we're going to ride on the strength of that marketing campaign? I can basically guarantee they are not going to spend anywhere near $600 million this time around to market this Minions movie. They are going to just cash in on the fact that everyone's already aware. There will be plenty of tie-ins, I'm sure, but I just think they assume this is a known property. It's performed well in the past. We don't need to try all that hard. As for the response that we're likely to see from animation YouTube, I can pretty much guarantee that we're going to see the usual kinds of videos that are saying oh, this is a cinematic disaster, this is a disgrace. There will be plenty of that. There's a good chance there will be some kind of dog pile. There's a slight chance, I'll put it at 5%, that the movie is slightly better than expected, and that way it'll have some kind of minor support from adult animation fans, I suppose. But I just don't see that. Everything they told us about the story here, it just all seems terribly bland, and I don't have high hopes. At the same time, I don't think I have enough energy to dedicate much hate to this. We've all been sick of Minions specifically for so long. Who can muster the energy? Is anyone actively angry about this, or does it just kind of feel whatever? This would be a great time to see the like-dislike ratio. It's hitting at 25,000 likes out of 12 million views. That's probably not excellent. I have a feeling the dislikes on this one might be pretty steep. I don't have plans to really dig into this one and rip on it a bunch. I don't expect that we're going to see the marketing frenzy we saw for the first movie, and to be honest, I don't expect it to have an incredibly strong box office return. I just don't. I'm very good at being wrong, but this was inevitable. It was going to happen at some point, but maybe if this underperforms, they would finally just decide to kill it off. Both this and Despicable Me, and just be like, we're good. Maybe another 10 years from now, we'll try to reboot it again, but for the moment, like it's almost too ubiquitous to have any real value. Like we've all just seen it so many times that we don't even see the Minions anymore. That's certainly how I feel about this whole thing at the moment. It's just, sure, okay, still cynical about the whole thing, still not a big fan of Illumination Entertainment, and especially for this to release in the same year that we're supposed to get the Mario movie from the same studio. The success or failure of this movie could play an interesting role in how that movie is marketed and released and received by the general public. But for the moment, that's all I have to share with you. Thanks for stopping by.